compassion when my soul's in need. I find compassion for friends and enemies. My own compassion is where my spirit breathes.
Live from Santa Barbara, welcome to Compassionate Connection. I am your hostess, Gigi Amore. The purpose of our show is to share with you how to connect within ourselves and with others when we choose to learn the language of compassion, the language of peace. We can transform and enrich our lives and relationships. I'd just like to suggest you look into this language of compassion. It can really make your life more wonderful. Now, tonight I'm really excited. We're going to be exploring with a very special guest. Susan Allan is with us. Thank you for coming back, having the time.
Of course. Always. I love coming here. I love doing your show. Thank you.
This is going to be a fun, informative show as usual. What we're going to explore is now the part 2 of our marriage or divorce, how to stay committed to reconciliation. Part 2, we're doing 3. So anyhow, get ready to take note. And now I'm going to tell you about our very fabulous guest, Susan Allan, who is the founder of the Marriage Forum and America's leading marriage and divorce coach. Susan is the author of 3 books, including The Merry-Go-Round, and she is also a certified mediator and is certified in Herman brain dominance used by 90% of the Fortune companies. Her 6-part conversation allows us to create peaceful and cooperative conversations so that all relationships can be peaceful and cooperative. Also, Susan has been seen on Fox News and on hundreds of television and radio shows demonstrating the results we can create when we transform the way we think, listen, speak, and act, and focus on solutions instead of problems. What a gift. Susan also offers a 1-hour complimentary private telephone session so that everyone can indeed transform their lives. Thank you so much, Susan. That's
great
really
to be
tells
here.
a little bit of your skills and what you have to offer people so they can
This
enjoy
much,
their
right?
lives and, yes, have a more loving, peaceful life.
We insist that they do, don't
That's right.
we? You have to have a more loving and peaceful life. We require it.
There you go. Done deal. And now I'm going to tell you a little about what we're going to be covering tonight. This is the part 2 of the feature on marriage or divorce. And we will be discussing how to stay committed to reconciliation. 2 weeks ago, we did speak about Susan's 3 stages of decision, the 3 major factors that allows people to decide what is best, marriage, separation, or divorce. So tonight we get to take an in-depth look at the challenges that people face in the reconciliation process. So they move from one of Susan's trainings, marital mediation, to another of the trainings, miraculous marriage. I love the sound of that. That is what we all would like, a committed, miraculous relationship with many different people. But marriage, that's huge, Susan. Well, now I'm going to be giving Susan some questions, and she's going to share her knowledge with us. I can't wait to hear her responses. So, Susan, I know that you offer skills that allow people to really shift the way they think, listen, speak, and act in marriage. What do you feel is the most important of these?
You have to shift the way you think. I can give you the verbiage. I can practice the verbiage with you so you sound authentic to a certain degree. But if underneath it all, your energy is the energy of judging and blaming and shaming and right and wrong and good and bad and all that, there's no way that you're going to really be able to motivate your partner to a new level of communication and intimacy. So you've got to shift the way you think. And of course, I teach a number of skills that allow you to do that.
I love that. There is that golden way of rethinking everything for
Yes.
getting the results that we want.
Yeah, there better be, because the way we've been doing it for thousands of years doesn't work very well. You know, that's why we have all these wars. So we better know that there's another alternative, and there really is. You know.
That's on a higher level, but boy, isn't
Yeah.
that the truth?
Yes, you don't have to be nuclear.
Now, I'm curious, what is the number one desire that people have when they really begin this reconciliation work?
My husband doesn't listen to me, or my wife doesn't hear what I'm saying. So it's the need to be heard. It is number one, number two, and number three, your need to be heard, to have your partner really listen. Not listen and be prepping what they're going to say next. Not pretending to listen, but really going, but really listening. That's what's missing. And again, we'll talk about this tonight, but in the six-part conversation that Fred showed a little bit earlier, there is that part where you reflect back what you've heard. Thank you, Fred. I really appreciate that. So reflection, where you really have a chance to say, would you be willing to let me know what you heard me say, so I know if I was able to be clear, and know in advance that very few people can rattle it right back to you. And so then clarification is where you say, thank you so much. You know, I can really see that I wasn't sufficiently clear about such and such, as opposed to, you're a jerk, you never listen, which is the way some people, think that they can communicate and get what they want. It doesn't work.
That's huge,
So it's
isn't it?
listening.
Oh, just to be heard, listen, and be open for it with that empathy.
Yes, yes.
Thank you, Susan. I know also, I'm really curious, you developed a skill set that you call marital mediation. Please describe what that's about for us.
Yes, in mediation, there's the third party, me, the mediator, and the mediator's job is to let each person speak. The problem with traditional mediation is, let's say for some reason Gigi and I had some argument about something, which we have never had in 9 years, but let's just say, okay? And there's a mediator sitting at the table, and so what happens in traditional mediation is the mediator says to Gigi, what's your problem, what's your complaint, what's bothering you, or some subtle description of that, and Gigi then talks to the mediator. Oh, she's an idiot, she's a jerk, she didn't do this, she didn't do that, right? That's traditional mediation. Then the mediator would look at me and say, well, what do you want to speak about? What is it that you'd like to be heard, about, and what it up? And then I would just say the same thing. She's an idiot, she's a jerk, she doesn't do this, she doesn't do that. You can see it's just like therapy. It's why therapy has such a tiny, tiny percentage of success in turning around marriages. Same reason with mediation. Now, what I do is completely different. Using Marshall Rosenberg's reframing and recontextualizing, which is the basis of nonviolent communication, I do exactly what he does, and then I've added another step to it. So what Marshall does is, let's say Gigi would complain, then Marshall would translate that, and he would say, so it sounds as if you're feeling very, very frustrated because you needed X, and you feel really annoyed because you needed Y, and you feel really, really disappointed because you thought that you had an understanding and you were going to get Z. And then he'd work with that person, and, the other party, would be sitting there and hearing it. And he would be inclusive, and it has a huge result. But in marital mediation, I took it one step further. You do not want to keep paying me, the mediator, every month, every year, every decade. You need to learn this stuff for yourself if you've got children. So I took it one step further, and I offer either or both of these partners the ability to learn how to do this. So when they're in mediation, they see the way that I'm translating it. They make notes, so they begin to have these skills. And then outside of mediation, I train them. And it's fabulous because the children don't get treated like volleyballs anymore. And the couple saves tens of thousands of dollars or a lot more. Because, you know, until the youngest child is 18, you have the right to go running back into court and fighting about things or running to mediation. And it is so expensive. So that's marital mediation.
Oh, I love that. They walk away and they have the skills.
That's right.
That's awesome.
Exactly the point.
All right, we know who to call. Now, I'm curious, how do you really let them see that expressing themselves must come after they've listened to their partners, which I know is part 2 of your 6-part conversation. Well, self-expression is part 3.
You know, life will teach you that lesson. I don't really have to do that. You know, have you ever thought that you really wanted to create peace with somebody? Of course, you've had, you know, thousands of examples, right? So you have this thought that you're going to create peace with somebody. You know, your friend, your neighbor, your parent, your child, your partner. And try to create peace in a difficult scenario by being heard first. Just try it. You know, somebody's angry at you and you're angry at them, and if your best shot is to go in and blah, 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 you know, life is going to teach you that this is not a strategy that really works. And then on the phone, in the first complimentary session, I do a demonstration. Well, imagine you're your partner, and let's see how it works. And then I do a demonstration of the 6th part. And usually what I get is that this person who's called me with this terrible problem, this seemingly insurmountable problem, when they receive empathy, even though they are still so angry at their partner, they have absolutely forgotten what they wanted to say, and they're silent. And then they kind of laugh, kind of embarrassedly, and say, oh, I guess he wouldn't know what to say if I did that. That's the point. It will stop your partner cold in his or her tracks, and the argument will end. And that's the point. Once the argument ends, then you can begin to have, you know, a real conversation and be heard and create a solution.
Oh, I love that. And I know it's true.
And you're good at this. You're really good at empathy. You're great at it, in fact.
Boy, that's something to pay attention to, no doubt about it. Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome.
Now I'm curious, what is the hardest part for you training clients to reconcile with their marriages?
The hardest part for me, and you know, the skills that I've developed are 100% successful in reconciliation. If even one of you in a partnership is committed to learning these skills and mastering these skills and using these skills. But the real challenge is for me, is to motivate you to stick with it. Because I am teaching you something that is completely brand new. You've never heard of it before. It's not all over the television. It's not in every paper you pick up. It's not like your neighbors are doing it, you know? This is new. This is a paradigm shift. This is a breakthrough. So just as many of the things that I talk about are breakthroughs, and you've never perhaps heard of the saliva and urine test, and you haven't heard of the supplements, and you haven't heard of this or that, this reconciliation technique is very new. I've done it with, you know, hundreds and hundreds of clients now, but it's not commonly known.
Thank you, Susan. That's important. This new way to go, new way to communicate. I love it. Mm-hmm. You can be even happier with yourself, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely true. Huge difference.
Now, I'm curious, why is it so hard for most people to realize that they really need training, skills, and support to transform their relationships?
You know, in any field, if you're an expert in the field, you're up to date with all the new breakthroughs in the field. So if you're a medical doctor specializing in X, you are studying X all the time, you're excited by X, you are required by law to stay up to date on X, and so you know what's happening in your field. Communication is not taught in school, unless you're in college, and then that's a whole different level. But one-on-one communication, human interaction, is not taught in kindergarten, nursery school, elementary school, junior high, middle school, college, any of that. It isn't. And sadly, tragically, it is the number one skill that we need, far more than arithmetic, nowadays for sure. Far more than knowing what happened in the War of 1812. What year was that? Oh, 1812. So you need desperately to learn how to communicate. You desperately, all of us, we need to learn how to bring ourselves to peace before we attempt to communicate. And it's just not taught.
Absolutely. Oh boy, this is just so valuable. I'm curious, where do you see the biggest challenge, let's say, for people in creating loving relationships?
I think the issue of commitment is a major problem in our culture. It's not a problem in other cultures. You know, India, for example, even though India does have divorce, India has a very small percentage of divorce compared to America because people are of the belief, I'm not saying it's true or not true, but people in India are of the belief that they are supposed to, that it's beneficial to stay in the same committed marriage for the rest of their life. And it's true because it builds society. It supports society. And, you know, the breakdowns that we've seen in our culture, in our families, in our cities, in our states, you know, that is very much part of the result of so much divorce. It's chaotic. You know, when a community has 50-60% divorce rate, you know, it's chaotic.
And there we go. Words get so in the way. Oh my. Well, now can you tell us what a very left brain person goes through in the process of learning to communicate successfully with a partner who is either asking for a divorce or, in fact, already is out of the house?
What's so interesting, you know, depending on the way your brain is wired, you're going to have a completely different perspective. So, you know, a very left brain person is going to say to me, and it's usually a man because there are more left brain men than women, and so normally he will say to me, it doesn't make any sense. You know, logical analysis. And Fred, if you would put up the little image of Herman brain dominance, I think that would be interesting for people to see. Thank you. So it doesn't make any sense. Logical analysis, upper left brain, that's the blue quadrant. You know, why is she doing that? Or to a lesser extent, why is he doing that? It doesn't make any sense. Well, it doesn't make any sense. It isn't logical. But the left brain person is not the most compassionate person. So the left brain person is saying, it doesn't make any sense to me. So my job is to have the upper left or the lower left or the very left brain person begin to put himself into the perspective, into the brain of his partner. And when I can successfully motivate them to do it, and when they've learned how, it doesn't come naturally, but when they've learned how, they begin to see, oh my goodness, this is a whole other world. People living in the right brain are like living in the middle of a Cinderella story by comparison, you know? The prince and the ball and the happily ever after and the pumpkin and the coach, right? Whereas if they're married to a right brain person, it's going to be very, very difficult for them to see it. Now, if they're married to a left brain person too, then that person is really going to shock them by getting a divorce if it's been a long-term marriage because of the loss of assets, because of the division of assets and the fact that the attorneys usually get a lot of money. But it's important to know, are you married to someone who's the opposite of you? are you married to someone who's very much like you? And that's what you have to know before you think about what you're going to do about your marriage. And that's called Herman brain dominance. And of course, that's one of the things that I teach.
Very good. Just get the facts in order and you can go forward with more ease.
Yes.
Now, what about a very right-brain person? What do you have to train them to turn, let's say, their marriage around, even if an attorney has already been hired by their partner?
Well, you know, very right-brain people, they just want peace and love. You know, peace is the upper right brain and love is the lower right brain. So the red and yellow, they want peace and love. So all you do is you give them lots of peace and lots of love. Peace can also be described as a certain amount of freedom, a certain amount of independence. So, you know, not so much love that you hunt them down and carry them home kicking and screaming. I don't mean that. You normally have to give them a lot of love and a lot of just sweetness and gentleness so they can make their own mind up, which most of them do if their partner really learns new skills and uses those new skills.
Thank you. That's very clear. All this information, it's great.
It's, you know, it's one thing to talk about it, it's another thing to do it. So the doing this is challenging. Let's not minimize that, right?
Perfect, yes.
Yeah.
Now, I'm wondering, are there many clients who begin marriage coaching with you and they're really enthusiastic and they're excited, but then suddenly they just don't want to learn these skills or reach their goal of reconciliation? What happens then?
Yeah, hitting a wall,
Yeah.
right? So, you know, you think it's a great idea to train for the marathon. You're all excited about it. And you start running a couple of miles a day, and you're still excited about it, right? And then somebody says to you, what is a marathon, 26 miles? Something like that. And somebody says, well, that's nice. I'm really excited to see that you're running 2-3 miles a day. That's great. But, I mean, isn't the marathon coming up soon? Don't you have to, like, double and triple that? And that's when a lot of people go, wait a minute. Oh, no. Okay, what was I thinking? So, you know, commitment is everything. Commitment is everything. In this situation, you know, to me it looks more serious than if you're going to run a marathon, but to a marathoner it doesn't. It's all a question of what are your serious goals? Where does your commitment lie? And that's where my job comes in. Like any coach, like an Olympic coach, you know, you can imagine how many times those Olympic gold medalists and those Olympic silver and bronze medalists get up in the morning and they don't want to jump in the, you know, in the pool rather. They don't want to do whatever it is they're supposed to do at 6 a.m. before they have to go to a full day of school or a full day of work, right? And the coach's job is to motivate and inspire them by reminding you what the benefits are going to be. You're in this, you want the benefits. For some, they don't want to pay for litigation. For some, they don't want to lose their marriage. For some, they don't want to lose their family. For some, they don't want to share their child, not see their child 50% of the time. Lots of reasons.
And I'm sure you keep them motivated in a very exciting way to keep going forward.
I do my best.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you know, it is your job to motivate yourself to some degree because nobody can motivate you 24/7.
Perfect. Now, can you give us an example of a situation where the client felt so much sadness that he or she, they weren't able to continue moving towards their goal to reconciliation? And then what did you do to get them back on track? So here we go.
You know, I worked with such a sweet guy a number of years ago. Really, really sweet, sweet guy. And his wife had started having an affair with a guy at work, and she just came in and announced she was leaving, and then she was moving in with this guy from work, and then she came back and she took some of her favorite furniture, and all the time, they've got 3 children, and she has basically left the home, left the family, left the children. So this sweet guy found me. It's amazing to me that he found me. And he found me. We began working together. And so now he's working full time. He's doing 100% child care. And he's in this deep level of mourning. Deep level of mourning. the loss of his relationship. So my primary job was to get him back on track emotionally. And we did that with the saliva and urine test and the supplements. And he found out that, yes, he was definitely in shock. He was definitely having a post-traumatic stress response to, basically finding that his wife and half of the furniture was gone, kind of thing. And we got him back on track, and in a very short period of time, he turned his entire life around. He turned his marriage around, and they reconciled, and they're very happy together. She got rid of the other guy.
Oh, I love that. I know you have many stories like that.
Yeah, that was huge. Because he was soon going to be down for the count. He was starting to drink a lot of wine and smoke a lot of marijuana. And, the problem with that is it makes you less and less able to turn the situation around drastically. But he was able to be motivated by me to do these things, and he turned it around.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Good work, Susan. Now, give us an example now of a client who, let's say, was so angry and frustrated that he or she gave up before reaching the destination. And again, how do you get that person back on track?
There are a lot of different cases. And there was a woman I worked with who was married to a very famous Hollywood star. And they were separated when she found me. And he was really a great guy. He was really a great guy, but she was furious because she had been with him all the years when he wasn't famous. So she was just furious. To me, I was just amazed that he had been such a good husband for so long. Because in Hollywood, that's not the common thing. In Hollywood, every person has 53 different distractions with different people per day. And if they're going to keep saying no and come back to you at the end of the day, it's a big, big thing. So she was just fuming. And I was able to calm her down, teach her how to calm down. Then when I got her calm enough, I showed her the pros and the cons of life with him versus life without him. And let's face it, if you're married to a Hollywood star, it's not as much fun as being the First Wives Club. Being divorced from the big Hollywood star is not as exciting as being married to the Hollywood star. It's just a prestige thing. So she began to look at that, and we really worked it out, and they started to date again, and she started to appreciate him, and he then felt that there was a reason to return, and so they did.
Oh, I love that. But she shifted and started to appreciate him.
Exactly. Instead of just being stuck with all of her anger.
Boy, that's a big shift right there. Now, I know that you've often said that all of our challenges in life are caused by some combination of brain chemistry and brain wiring. So when people can choose and can stick with the choice of reconciliation, separation, or divorce, is this true?
It's really interesting. If somebody's drifting to anger, biochemically drifting to anger, you can understand why their marriage isn't working. Obviously. And yes, I can teach them what to do about their automatic rage, their automatic anger, their automatic frustration, but it's so much easier for everyone if they will investigate what's going awry with their brain chemistry. I have a client who was just bouncing off the wall some time ago, and I knew she was on supplements because I had worked with her do the whole thing, and she's been in some very difficult situations. And I said to her, I'm guessing that you ran out of supplements about a week or so ago. Is that possible? Oh, how did you know? So she started taking the supplements again, but it's an issue that I have to really work on with her because she doesn't understand yet that she's ruining her chances of real cooperation from everybody. If she continues to behave that way, it's very difficult for any of us to cooperate. Then I had another woman who I started working with after a number of years with a different situation, and she had been so sweet and so calm the last time I spoke to her, And now she's like, very easily triggered about this and about that and about this one and that one. And again, I said, I'm just really confused. It sounds as if maybe you don't take those supplements anymore, and they were just making such a huge difference. Oh, yes, I haven't taken them in 3 years. So just, really confused when I hear that, because, I just remember you had this amazing outcome when we worked together last time. And it was really easy for you to be very peaceful and motivate people to cooperation. And, I'm really hopeful that you would be willing to do that again. So, that's in place.
Oh, what an important ingredient, absolutely, those supplements. Now, I'm curious, how does eliminating anger in one partner through brain chemistry and brain wiring changes turn a marriage around?
Well, normally, you're irritated or scared or sad because one or more of your needs aren't met, right? I mean, you just don't blame your partner unless there's some combination of you being irritated, annoyed, angry, sad, because there's some behavior that's off, right? And so because of that, you want to be absolutely sure that you're not blaming them if the trigger is you. So if you wake up in the morning and before you open your eyes, you're already angry at your partner, Or your partner's on a trip, your partner's not even home, and you find yourself thinking about that partner and being angry. The person's not even there. Or, the person tends to put a dirty dish in the sink and doesn't put it in the dishwasher, and you prefer to be angry for 2 hours instead of just putting it in the dishwasher yourself. These are the kind of things you have to look at them and say, why?
Thank you. When you talk about them like that, yes. Now, when someone realizes that they have, let's say, felt so sad and hopeless and they couldn't accomplish much in their marriage, does that actually help to motivate them to take these supplements?
Yeah, because it's not going to change with another relationship. You get rid of Tom and you're going to have the same problem with Dick and the same problem with Harry. And if I point it out and then you say to me, well, actually, that's true, because I already dated Tom, Dick, and Harry, and it didn't work well with any of them. Yeah. So ultimately, it's us. If you look at your life and you look at what didn't work in your life, there's one common denominator. In my life, it's me, and in your life, it's you. So the person who needs to transform is not your partner. It's you and me.
I love that. So the mind shift, the communication skills, the supplements, there's hope for everybody that wants to take action.
Yes.
Well, I can see we're going to take a break right now. We're going to enjoy a clip with Reverend Bernard Goodman, and this is going to be about moon energy. We'll see what happens.
I don't know, last week, 2 weeks ago, I don't remember how long ago, maybe farther, I asked Susan specifically to have more stuff from India here than normal. Didn't know why. They tell me, I tell her. You're from India, yes? It was to honor you. Anybody else here from India? Okay, just them then. All right. Oh, yeah, all right. Oh, you're still there. Well, then you get it. You get it too, kiddo. We told you when you came in, which blew Bernard off his chair, almost that you were more than a man. Remember that? When you walked into the restaurant yesterday, what I saw was a giant. I don't know if you know anything about those 70 feet tall people. Maybe they'll give me the name of it. They were discovered recently. It was in the news and everything like that. You remember what they were called?
No, but I remember the picture.
Okay,
Yeah.
right. You were one of them. What?
70.
70 feet, 70 feet, yeah. Yeah, they found skeletons, it's real.
Giants.
Yeah, I can't remember the name, but maybe they'll give it to me. I think it starts with, what?
Nephilim.
Oh, we're Nephilims, right. Okay, yes. You were, very good. Yeah, you were a Nephi. And what you would do is you would walk amongst the animals and heal the animals that are on the ground, because you were taller than all the animals. You even rivaled giraffes. although you didn't eat their food off the trees. Like, you know. And you were even taller than some of the dinosaurs when you were there. It's a Vegosaurus.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. You're probably as tall as a Vegosaurus. Yeah. Maybe you were a Vegosaurus. I don't know. Anyway. But the reason I'm telling you this is because you carry that energy in this lifetime. Of course, they have you as a secret hidden, so you're not 70 feet tall. But you are 70 feet tall. You have that energy inside of you. What do? Do you do anything?
I own a solar cell startup company.
Say that again.
He's an inventor.
I'm an inventor.
Yeah, we're getting to that. Say that again.
I own a solar cell startup company.
Solar cell.
Yeah.
Heating with the sun.
Heating and electricity.
Okay, do you know what you're going to create? Never been done before. People hear it here first on this stage with Ed Sullivan. You're going to create heating from the moon.
Wow.
You're going to be able to, you know what? You know, it's funny, they give me all these questions that I ask, I never get any answers. Do you know why we can see the moon at night? Does anybody know why?
Reflecting the light of the sun.
Say that again?
Reflecting the light of the sun.
You mean there's sun at night? I've never seen sun at night unless they call it the moon. What you're going to do is you're going to be able to extract the sun energy that hits the moon so that we can see it and turn it into an energy source of planet Earth. Wow. So that you don't have to wait for a daytime or a sunny day or any nonsense to have, well, you have no idea where we're going with this. You have no idea who he is. It's all your fault. Okay. So, when you create this, you're going to have to create a totally separate entity to do this. Can't do it with the company you have now.
No.
And it's going to be secret. I mean, maybe I'll put you in my movie, I don't know. But anyway, I have to tell you something, people. I'm writing 2 movies now, and one of them is called UFOs and Us, and it's about UFOs landing and all that good stuff, and they're good people. And the final scene is the first Earth flying saucer taking off into the universe. You're going to build, you're going to build parts of that flying saucer.
Wow.
That's in our future. Now, something else is a general statement. They've been saying it, now they're going to say it in public in front of all of you. In 2013, which is why you've all been waiting for 2013, there will be landings. There will be ETs on the ground, in reality. None of this nonsense crap in the movies. This is going to happen, which is probably why they have me write this movie. So, we're not giving you any time frame, of course. How young are you?
25.
Oh, good, thank God. Once you start emerging with this new energy that's going to come, now the Nefertiti's guys, they've already done this before on their planet, so this is nothing new to them. And since they're feeding on the Nefertiti guys, I'm going to call them that. So when you start getting this from them, when they start channeling this through you, it'll be so fast. Oh, by the way, Monica and Regina, you need to connect with this guy somehow. Absolutely. Because you're going to be involved with this project we're talking about, amongst all the others, and you're going to be amongst the first female humans to educate the planet about lunar energy. They're trying to combine moon and solar. Lunar energy, M-O-O-N-A-R, you're going to be calling that, by the way. Lunar energy. So somewhere between now and the end of your life, you have to get their phone number from Susan or something like that, and vice versa. Because you're going to be working with them with this. Surprise! You people have no idea what's coming. Now, they're going to tell you why the Mayan calendar ended on my birthday. When I became 74 young. It was because they created a space for good to begin to happen. This is all about the good energy becoming more and more in the future of this planet. And every one of you is involved with creating that on the planet through whatever force or system you chose to do that within what they call your domain. You're going to be doing all kinds of things with horses, racing horses. You do anything with racing horses or race horses? You're going to be racing horses. Maybe running after them also. The three of you are going to be, you need to, you don't take care of that. What do you do?
I support energy technologies get started up.
Okay.
Funding,
Oh, really?
and also with placing them in emerging markets, so like global markets for
Oh.
humanitarian projects.
Do you see how brilliant they are to make the two of you together? We're going to tell you what this is all about today, which is why the people aren't here and are here. This is about honoring all of you for each reason that you are. We're going to be honoring the both of you because you are to be the inventors of the new technology of the future. With regard to the environment, to healing the planet, to the atmosphere, which is right up your alleys, ladies. So make sure you have a good flashlight there. They are now ordaining the two of you and the two ladies on the phone. We can see you in there, you know, the two ladies on the phone who have clothes on, as a quadramic. A quadramic is four people who are united in amicability, which is as the amic part of quadramic, quad meaning four amicables. And so the four of you are now officially God's quadramic for, oh really, the future energy source of this planet.
Wow.
You guys are going to replace gasoline. I don't know what they're going to do with it. They'll have to start drinking it. But you guys are going to replace gasoline forever.
Yes.
Because you can't have a flying saucer on gasoline. It don't work. Doesn't work.
You got to embrace it. Oh, I'm just enjoying every time that I hear what Reverend Bernard has to say. It's just amazing. So many things that are going on in our future that he knows about and shares with us. So that's why we just love to show you his gifts. Now, I can't wait to get back with Susan and ask her some more questions because we have a lot of ground to cover still. So Susan, I know that you have another skill set that you've developed, and this one's really exciting to me, miraculous marriage. And so please, what does this include?
Well, you know Rick and Linda Dalwick. You've known them for
yes.
years. So they used to come to a workshop that I did many years ago, and Gigi came all the time as well. And Rick and Linda's marriage is fabulous. Really fabulous. Very loving, very compassionate, very kind, motivating and inspiring each other. It was just a great, great marriage. And they told me that there were some things that they would have disagreements about. So we worked together on film and really showed them how to take these different issues and work with the six-part conversation and turn the irritation, resentment, aggravation, concern, hopelessness, whatever emotional state they were in, and just transform it into full cooperation, which we did. And I have the video of it, and I guess I should put that on YouTube sometime soon so you guys can see it. And it's really remarkable how you can use these skills and turn them into a deeply loving, miraculous marriage.
Boy, that's what everybody would really like to have going on, I'm sure of
exactly.
that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm curious, do you have a story about, let's say, someone who thought he or she was staying for the children, and it turned out that they ended up having a great loving marriage?
You know, when somebody is really furious at a partner, just really so furious, or just heartbroken about something that happened, you know, often because there's been infidelity, it's typical to say, well, I'll stay for the children. You know, even if they really are desperately wanting the relationship to turn around, they may not feel comfortable saying that because they may feel so angry and so sad that their need for honesty or trust or intimacy or commitment or monogamy, wasn't met. So once I get them in touch with the need they had that wasn't met, and let them see their part, not only in how they can get the need met now, but in then realizing what they didn't know how to do before, then it's very easy for someone to realize, well, I'm obviously not just staying for the children. I'm staying for myself.
Which is the truth.
Yes.
Turn it right around.
Yes,
there
exactly.
you go. Oh, but of course.
So obvious once we figure it out, right? It's true. It's true.
Okay, well, now explain to us what is different about reconciliation for, let's say, older couples.
That's really tricky because most divorces in women over 45 are started by the women. The women have had enough. They don't want to be a nurse if they married somebody older. Now his health may not be as good as theirs, or they're, sick and tired, or the children are grown and there's no motivation for them to stick with it. So if you're an older guy, if you're a guy in your 60s and your wife is complaining to you, I am encouraging you to start really listening very seriously, and see what needs of hers you're willing to meet right now today, unless you want to be facing the very real possibility of divorce. 75% of all divorces in women over 45 are caused by the women. So it's an important thing to realize. And I work with a lot of guys on this. And I teach them how to understand their wives' needs that they never understood in all the years of marriage. They had no idea. And so it's never too late to learn how to transform your relationship.
Very encouraging. Now, would you share with us about many success stories, or one of your many success stories, of someone who stayed in their marriage because they really enjoyed their lifestyle, and then miraculously it turned into a love affair?
That's so easy because no one really wants to leave their marriage and get divorced. That's never anybody's intention. As I said in the first part of this show, the first episode, nobody gets married with an intention to divorce. And you've just got to figure out what's going to make the difference with your partner. You've got to figure out how to turn that corner. You may have been hearing complaints for 20 years and you didn't do much about them. You're not going to be able to turn all your behaviors around overnight. But what is the one thing? Is it that he really needs peace when he comes home at the end of a difficult day? Does she desperately need a deep emotional connection? These kind of things are going to make it so much less important than how big the house is after a while, right? But I did work with a couple, and it was so interesting that all he wanted was peace. They were separated. He had walked out. He couldn't take it anymore. He was ready to go. He just wanted peace. And, he loved his lifestyle, and she loved her lifestyle. And he motivated her to speak to me, thank goodness. I was able to teach him how to do that. And I basically said, this is the very famous comment I said to her, if you want this lifestyle, the only way you're going to have this lifestyle is if you have this marriage. If your marriage ends, you're going to be living on half of this, a house, half the size pretty much, with the income half the amount, etc. So if you really want this, you better be nice to this guy, like yesterday, sweet to this guy yesterday. I know him very well. I've been working with him for 6 months. He doesn't want a lot. But if he comes to visit you because he feels badly, please greet him with quiet, sweet warmth. And don't keep talking during the TV show that you and he have agreed to watch, or the movie. And she said to me, but I can just sit here and watch TV with him. I mean, he's my husband, and I want to talk to him. Ah, I said, but he doesn't want to listen yet. So if you're interested in him returning again and again and again, until finally he is willing to listen, you have to be quiet and peaceful and cheerful when he appears. And she said, I don't know how to do that. And I said, masking tape. And they reconciled beautifully. Because she didn't have to use masking tape, but she understood I was not kidding around. It wasn't going to be her way. There was no possibility.
Oh, I love that story. That's great. A little humor, but hey, it got through.
It's a fact, right? It's a fact.
Well, okay, now I'm really curious if it is ever too late for someone to really create reconciliation and a miraculous marriage.
It is never too late. I've seen it during, separation. I've seen it during divorce, and I have even seen it after one of the partners insisted on the divorce. I've seen couples reconcile beautifully.
That's perfect. How encouraging, and I know that you're the person that can make the difference. I mean, it seems so simple when
Yes, of
we
course.
really get with the right person. Is there any amount of time that it can take for people to transform?
It depends on how hard they're going to work with me, I mean, I only work with clients once or twice a week, so they don't have to work with me 5 times a week. And if they want to work with me twice a week and they really want to get the maximum results and the fastest ones, then we figure out what you're going to do in between sessions, how you're going to practice this, who you're going to practice this with, and that way you can turn this around, far faster. If somebody can't really work with me twice a week, that's okay, but they have to do more work on their own.
So it's up to the individual, and they can get moving on this process right away, and have a wonderful Christmas.
And it's a lot easier for you and for me if you call me when things are, bad, but not when things have already become horrendous. So my request is, call me for the free consultation when you think maybe in a year you might need to call me for something worse.
Oh, that's
Let's
great.
turn it around when it's easy.
Oh, I like that. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Susan. I know that for much of us watching this part 2 of our 3-part series on marriage or divorce, that in a couple more weeks we will have the final part of focusing on divorce. And we, of course, look forward to all of your questions and comments. And let's see, we'll look in more depth to this process, and we'll move into some of Susan's trainings, marriage mediation, and get right into creating that miraculous marriage that everybody dreams about, everybody wants. Well, now I'd just like to share with you a bit about Susan. You can enjoy Susan Allan's column, Ask the Love and Relationship Coach. This is in the Santa Barbara Family Life magazine. It's also available online, sbfamilylife.com. And Susan's phone number for that free complimentary 1 hour is 805-695-8405. And Susan's email, susan@susanallen.org. Susan's YouTube, youtube.com/Susan Allan, 2001. Now, moving forward on our show, I would just like to say that we're live every Tuesday night throughout the week. We are on several surprising times here at the channels, and we're in our 9th year. Well, we're completing our 9th year, and enjoying doing this show and sharing with you. And I appreciate all your questions, your challenges, hearing from you on your concerns. And you can give me a call at 805-698, what is my number? 8233. That's local. And Gigi Amore at CoxNet. And we're excited to, of course, inform you that we have a website where you can check out our fabulous guests, CompassionateConnection.tv. And next week we will have a guest. Reville and Dan Orr will be with us. And I'd like to give a special thank you to a show supporter, Dr. Mark Dreblow. Thank you for always encouraging us. And a thank you, I love Lucy at Lucia Salon. And right here in our studio, Matt, Mark, so many of you over the years that have helped and contributed to our well-being of doing this show, and our personal TV family, our director, Fred Winter. We love you, Fred. Couldn't do the show without you. And Tyler Geck as well. Tyler is our technical support and all these other details. And for our viewers, I would just like to wish you all a very joyful, very happy, compassionate moments wherever you can focus on them. They're out there. All righty. Thank you for viewing, and good night.